Okay. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
And you all saw the notification that we are now live on Zoom. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
And you all saw the notification that we are now live on Zoom.
Did it? It just played you again, or? Okay. Oh, okay.
Can y'all hear me over here now? I had to mute on Zoom so I don't hear myself. Can you all hear me live now? Okay. Murph, do you want to go ahead and get us started? And I'm sure Hobson and Dale Neese will jump in once we get started.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Crawford Long Middle School Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. And everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Crawford Long Go Team to order at 5:38 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now call roll. And
She's logging in. She's coming in now.
okay, great. Is Hobson logging in too?
Okay. All right, Ms. Dale Neese is in now. Oh, you're on mute, Ms. Dale Neese. Hold on. There you go. Can you hear us, Ms. Dale Neese?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. You want to read that part again, Mr. Murphy?
I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Crawford Long Go Team to order at 5:40 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take the roll.
This is my first time doing this, so please help me to do this correctly. So for roll, principal, Lisa Hill, are you present?
Present.
Okay. And I'm not sure who the parent or guardian is for this. Let's go.
It should be on the last meeting minutes, but I'll pull them up and help you for this, for your first one.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The first one is Lanicia Presley.
Lanicia Presley, are you present or absent? Absent. Okay. For Natasha Hall, are you present or absent?
Present.
And Paul Hobson, present or absent?
Present.
Anna Deonese, self, present. John Kimbrough, present or absent. And Jameson Murphy, present or absent.
Present.
Okay. And so that means, is there anybody else present that is not on our roll?
We do not, we do have one person that will be presenting as a community member tonight.
Okay.
And
All right.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dionese. This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Dionese, is there a quorum present?
Yes.
If there is a quorum present, proceed. We do not have, if there is a quorum present, proceed to the action items on the next page. Action items, approval of
Pause
agenda.
one moment. I think we have to have 5. Is that correct?
We got,
Chandra?
Hi, so according to our records, you guys have 7 people on your team.
Yes, right. At tonight we do. So before we get us there.
So yeah, you just need
Okay.
4 quorum.
Okay, thank you.
so now I proceed to the action items, which is the approval of the agenda. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Are you all able to see the agenda now on the screen? I'm sorry, the agenda. Let me put are you able to see the agenda now?
Yes.
There is one agenda item that I would like to change. I want to remove D and table that for the next meeting for elect parent member.
I second that.
I'm
I think somebody make a
sorry.
motion
I
first, 'cause
move
can't make a
that the,
motion.
I move that the parent member election be tabled until the next meeting.
I second that.
Are there any all in favor? Say aye.
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 All right. Any nays? Any nays? All right, are there any abstentions? Ayes have it. Okay. At this time, we will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections?
Are you all able to see the meeting minutes now? Let me change my. See if I can zoom. Okay.
Are there any corrections?
There, we have a few more to do. Also with the, and I guess we can leave this in here for the minutes. And we'll discuss that, because we just need to change our calendar to remove
From
one of
the,
days. But the minutes can stay as is, and then we will just update the actual
calendar.
Mhm. Let me go down to the discussion part, because that's what the part that needs to be reviewed. Want me to keep scrolling? That was the last.
all the way to the end.
Yep, that's the end. Meeting adjourned.
Okay. If there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
I motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. If there aren't any abstentions, please say abstain. Okay, all right, motion passes. The minutes will be approved. So now we're going to go to some additional action items. And these action items are to fill the vacant seats. We will now move to filling vacant seats and open community member seat and the open community member seat. Before we begin this process, I'd like to remind the GO team of the following. The principal brings forth the nominations for the vacant and open community seats. All GO team members have only one vote per seat. The individuals filling a vacant seat will serve until the conclusion of the seat's term. Individuals filling an open seat will serve for the full two-year term. Upon approval, individuals are immediately full GO team members and may join the meeting. We will now begin filling our vacant seats. These are the seats which have been vacated prior to the end of term. I have the following nominations for our GO team's vacant seats. I'll turn this over to Ms. Hill.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Murphy. So at this time, we will move to filling our vacant seats. So team, I am pleased to bring forth a candidate for our vacant community seat. As a reminder, this person will serve on the GO team for a full 2-year term. With us tonight, we have Mr. Jesse Webb. Just a little bit about Mr. Webb. He has served a total of 17 years in education and previously 12 in Atlanta Public Schools. Most recently, he served as the Dean of Students in Atlanta Public Schools. And his core principle is helping from a perspective of restoration and affirmation. He is the founder of Web of Life coaching firm. And in addition to that, he serves on the advisory board of Caring for Others, Inc. Caring for Others is one of our partners that is located here in the South Atlanta area off of Browns Mill. Many of you all are familiar with Caring for Others. So I have worked with Mr. Webb, working with Caring for Others and his outreach to the entire South Atlanta community. So without further ado, I'm going to open the floor up for Mr. Webb to say a few words. Mr. Webb, do you want to say a few words to the Long Middle School GO team?
I will. I will. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. I started off working at South Atlanta with communities and schools, and then I moved to Heritage. So I saw some of my students and my intervention groups and things move through Long into South Atlanta. So to be back in the cluster working with Caring for Others and possibly being a part of the GO team is a blessing. So I just wanted to share that. I'm not necessarily new. I went away for a little bit as I worked through APS, but I'm not necessarily new to the cluster. Many of the families that I served when I was at South Atlanta and at Heritage, I'm still a part of those families. So I would definitely let you all know that it is a blessing to be here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. At this time, GO team, does anyone have any comments or questions for Mr. Webb? All right, if not, Murphy, I'm going to throw it back over to you to actually do the voting, to start the voting process.
Okay. We will now proceed. All right, we will now proceed to vote on these nominations. Wait, do I nominate him?
So you just proceed. I nominated him. So you-
Okay, all right.
For the community seat.
Does anyone have any comments or discussions about the nominee? Okay. Okay, thank you for your feedback. I'm looking at our,
Yeah, so pick up where it says all in favor. We have a script, y'all. Those who just looking, who trying to figure out what's going on. All
yeah,
in
we
favor,
have,
please say yes. Mhm.
yeah, I'm trying to find it on what we have here. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Fill the vacant position, I flipped the page over, went to the next part.
Look at the one that was pink that I highlighted for you.
All right, we will now vote for the nomination of Mr. Jason Webb for the community member seat. All in favor, please say aye or hand.
Aye.
Aye.
And the secretary is recording those votes. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please say abstain or raise your hand. The secretary will now note how each member voted.
The ayes were Natasha Hall, Dr. Renaissance, myself, you, Mr. Murphy. I did not hear the others. If anybody else said aye. Ms. Hill, did you?
I'm a non-voting member.
Okay. And Mr. Hobson?
Yeah, it should be 4. It's 4
Yes,
right
I'm Dr. Renaissance. Let me change my name. I'm sorry.
now.
Okay. So you did say aye, Mr. Hobson?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
So Natasha Hall, Dr. Renaissance, Mr. Hobson, Mr. Murphy, and myself. That's 5.
No, I was saying I am Dr. Renaissance.
Mhm.
What?
I am Dr.
Yes, he's
Renaissance.
got the Renaissance. He didn't change his name on his
I changed my
camera.
name. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
Very well then.
I'll-
Now that that's clear. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4
Mhm.
ayes.
Are your dogs mad, Miss?
Okay,
Neighbors
I
going
guess,
by
are those the
outside.
nays?
Okay. All right, Mr. Murphy, you got to go ahead and close the vote.
Okay, at this time, I move that the
Vote.
votes,
Yeah.
will someone make a motion for the votes to be closed at this
No,
time?
you already did. You just got to close it out. She said we had the correct number.
Okay, great. Please say, what comes after that, Ms. Hill? I'm so sorry.
Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Webb, on
Webb.
becoming our new community member.
Congratulations, Mr. Webb. This is so you know we have a brand new Go team. So most of the
Oh,
members, this is
good.
their first time. So this is the first meeting I led it. So
It's
Yeah,
all good. It's
Yeah.
all good.
congratulations isn't in the script, so I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to have you. We are so glad to have you on our Go team, Mr. Webb.
Yep.
All right, Murphy, it's back to you.
All right, so now we're gonna move on with the rest of the agenda, moving on to the discussion items. We will now move to the discussion items on the agenda. Ms. Hill, could you post the agenda on the screen, please?
Sure. I'm gonna do 2 things. Because I have to get the presentation ready to share as well. Hold on. Right. Can you see it?
I see it. So the item A on the discussion items is the continuous improvement plan, and that will be shared by our principal, Ms. Hill.
All right, and actually with the presentation that has been prepared, it will cover both items A as well as the map data review. So I am now going to share the PowerPoint. I hope this works right. That was a student at the window. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint? This says Go Team, okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for our second Go Team meeting. I just want to give us a quick snapshot of where we are and where we are going. All right, where we are, our strategic plan is the guide for the work we're doing here at Long Middle School. By monitoring the plan and ranking priorities, we can all work towards the one common goal. Using the priorities in the strategic plan, the school leadership team developed a continuous improvement plan for the current school year. So that's a lot. I'm going to break it down in my own words because that was kind of set for us. So over the years, the Go Team has developed and fine-tuned a strategic plan, which is aligned to the district strategic plan. In addition, each year, the school leadership team, as well as members of the staff, we actually have to do a continuous improvement plan, formerly known as a school improvement plan. So tonight I will share both of those with you and give you a chance to ask clarifying questions. So timeline for Go Teams. Where are we currently? So right now you see we are right here in number 4. And between September and December, we utilize current data to review and possibly update the school's strategic priorities and plan. Our next meeting is where we will really fine tune that plan because that drives our budget. And so you'll know the Go Team, actually, we collaborate on the development of the budget for the upcoming school year, but all of that is actually done via the strategic plan. So a couple of discussion items, current strategic plan, the continuous improvement plan. I'm going to show you the needs assessment, the SMART goals that were created, as well as monitoring measures. And then also show you some fall to fall data. Our winter data is just now coming in. We're actually concluding winter testing now this week. So I want to share the fall to fall. And at the next meeting, I will share winter to winter. So the current strategic plan, this strategic plan is for 2021 to 2025. Therefore, we did not have to start from scratch this year. It's just about fine tuning the strategic plan because it is truly a living document. I know that's a lot of words that you see on the screen, but I'm going to kind of chunk it for you. So first of all, the mission of Long Middle School. Crawford Long Middle School cultivates a community of lifelong learners and leaders that are empowered to globally compete and access future opportunities. Our vision is to build a community of compassionate innovators, creating opportunities for themselves and others. At the top, you will actually see the SMART goals from that was from last year. As you know, we will have to update those. So during our next meeting, we will actually talk about updating the SMART goals. This was baseline data from last year. So the first goal is tied to GMAS, which is the Georgia Milestones, and it's specifically for language arts, and it's to increase by the students scoring proficient or above by 3%, from 15% to 18% by June of 2022. As we know, last year was our first year coming out of the pandemic, and as you know, we did see the effects of learning loss. So I will tell you for last year, we did not meet that goal. So therefore, our goal would shift with last year being the benchmark, and we will set a new goal for this year. The next one is tied to mathematics, and it's also to increase the percent of proficient or distinguished students for 2022. Of course, we're carrying that over into 2023. Also to increase average daily attendance rate from 69.3, and that was coming out of the pandemic, to at least 90%. In case you may not know, last year we were back in the building, but there were a couple of times when we were virtual, especially coming out of some of the holidays. And it was always hard to get the kids back in after going on a virtual break. So we did come close to that goal. However, we still have some work to do. I will say our actual attendance, daily attendance rate right now is definitely higher than, it's in the range of 90%. It's actually above 90%. And last but not least, to increase opportunities for family engagement, student ownership, and goal setting during the 2021-2022 school year. So this was last year's strategic plan. The next meeting, we will fine tune this to make sure that it is our strategic plan for this year. Now, the first area are the APS strategic priorities and initiatives. So what I'm going to do is go through each one and just kind of call out the priorities. The first area is fostering academic excellence for all. So that's data, curriculum and instruction, and signature programming. Those little sub areas are what's known as part of our APS 5. Our school strategic priorities to address that major priority is first to make sure we improve student mastery of reading, language arts, mathematics, social studies, and science content knowledge. I want to say something about this one, especially when it comes to language arts. One thing that we are really drilling into, and we did some work during the principals meeting before last, writing like it used to sit by itself previously when we were taking, I forgot the other test, the CRCT. Now writing is embedded in language arts, and the trend that we're seeing throughout the district and the state is that students, they score high in other domains for language arts, but when it comes to writing, they are really struggling. So when we come back from the break and we start doing some data digs, that's going to be something that we need hands on deck in all content areas. Also, when it comes to fostering academic excellence for all, to also make sure we fully implement our STEM program model. We are finalizing, fine-tuning our first PBL right now. So we will have that completed at the end of the semester, and we will have a gallery display for that. So we're excited about the great things coming with that. Previously we've had to do it like electronically, but I'm smiling because this year we actually open our doors up for people to come in to see. And then last but not least, for academic excellence is preparing all students for college, career, and life, not just waiting for career week, but making sure that it is embedded into everything we do. Also, like tomorrow, tomorrow's Thursday. So Friday, we have students going to Georgia Tech. It seems like every day there's a field trip taking the students somewhere. And I can honestly say that where the students are going is exposing them to different career paths. And Mr. Murphy is laughing because I had to tell them to slow down on my field trips going to colleges because I need the kids in classrooms. But just making sure that they're seeing careers, opportunities, college experiences that most of our kids in this area may not see. So those are the areas that the priorities that we have put under fostering academic excellence. Building a culture of student support. Under this umbrella, you have whole child and intervention as well as personalized learning. Those are the APS 5. Specifically for that, prepare all students to have essential life skills and social and emotional. We just did a hard reset on our SEL. We have a lot of new teachers and they were doing the community gatherings, and actually tomorrow we have the gentleman coming in again to help with the second steps, which is the curriculum that is used. And also making sure that we have some adult SEL. We had a great session 3 weeks ago with him just to ground us in some adult SEL as well. And then last but not least, for building culture, implement goal setting, student ownership, growth mindset opportunities for all students. So as we conclude and close out this week, we finally will have some true data for the students. So they took the fall map assessment in August. We're closing out the winter map. So with those two scores, students will be able to see if they're growing. It's called a RIT score. And for after each administration, every student has their own personal RIT score. So we are seeing some growth. From this, we will be having, last year we did a school-wide goal setting activity. But in discussing some of this with like how we did it last year with the staff. We want to go deeper and have some focus groups with intentional planning and goal setting with students in smaller groups. So that will roll out once we come back from the Thanksgiving break. Under equipping and empowering leaders and staff, the specific areas that is tied to is strategic staff support and equitable resource allocations. So here we have build teacher and leader capacity, as well as recruit, develop, and retain highly talented faculty and staff. I will tell you, like right now, I think we have maybe we have 2 vacancies for paraprofessionals. We actually moved 5 of our paraprofessionals in the building to fill specifically some special education positions. So therefore we have we're building capacity, but also just finding time and resources to support all of our new teachers, but also all of our veteran teachers as well. And then not just getting them here, but retaining them. Burnout is real. There are a lot of initiatives and asks right now in the district. Even as a leader, it's a lot. But just trying to, even today, I had to tell somebody, no, they were trying to bring another program, something with counseling. I was like, no, we're full, because sometimes you can put so much on a plate that you can't do anything well. And also with us being intentional about the things we currently have on a plate, how can we do those things well so that we don't burn out teachers and leaders? Then last but not least, under creating a system of school support, specifically collective action, as well as engagement and empowerment. Our school strategic priorities is to utilize systems and resources that identify and address root causes to promote social and academic growth, and then also to inform and engage school families, partners, and community members. Last night, I'm just going to share this now because then I'll have to do my principal report. But last night we had, for the first time in, I want to say 4 years, we opened our doors and had a real, what I call the old school open house parent teacher conference night. And it was amazing. I was nervous about the turnout, but it was amazing. We had parents who actually stayed here to almost 7 o'clock, just finally getting a chance to talk to the teachers and finding ways to support their students. So it felt good to be able to do that. We're excited about some other opportunities for that. And over here where it says school strategies, this goes more in depth about specific strategies that we will be doing. Also here where it says focusing on dual enrollment, we push dual enrollment for our 7th and 8th graders for them to do AVA, where they start taking a high school course, and they specifically do that during our enrichment/intervention block each day. So I'm not gonna read all those to you. Any questions about this part here for the strategic plan? All right. So the continuous improvement plan. So our continuous improvement plan, we had to do what they call a needs assessment first, strengths and opportunities. And for this, we actually during the summer when the data was first trickling in, we sat down to look at different forms of data. So we looked at the BASC assessment, which is a behavior, it's a social emotional battery. The students take a survey and it basically asks them about their well-being. The students take it, their parents can fill it out for them, as well as the teachers. So we like to have 3 pieces of data. It actually lets us know if students, and most of the time the students, based off of how they have answered the questions, sometimes it would say they're elevated, highly elevated, or moderate, or just on level. This has been critical for us, that data, in terms of how we do restorative practices, the additional wraparound services. So we looked at that data, we looked at the academic data, both not just milestones, but also some checkpoints through MAP. So that helped us to come up with our strengths and our opportunities. Specific strengths, the percent of students meeting or exceeding their MAP growth target increase. We didn't see necessarily the targets being met with achievement, but our students grew drastically last year when we were looking at their growth. So from where they came in the fall to where they ended last school year, I'm like double-digit growth. Also, we earned our cognitive STEM certification last year, and we also implemented our PBLs. And then the school-wide goal setting was amazing. We rewarded the students, and we want to definitely do that as well this year. Opportunities to increase the consistent rigor of instruction in ELA and math, but that needs to change to say all content areas. What we're seeing is that we're doing a lot of growing the students and closing the gap, but students who are showing grade level proficiency, making sure that those students who are developing in yellow, and you'll see some slides, that we're moving them to on level, proficient, and distinguished, which means that we have to make sure that we're exposing them to the rigor of the assessment. On this past Monday, I led a professional development session with all of the teachers, where they actually took for a standard, they actually looked at what does it mean to be proficient? What does it mean to be a developing learner? What does it mean to be a beginning learner? And they looked at the verbs and they saw how, yes, when you introduce a content or a new concept, you may start at what we call depth of knowledge number 1. But unless you expose students to synthesizing, analyzing, and for us, a lot of times, especially if students have gaps in prior knowledge, you can close the gap, but you can't stay there. So that's one thing that we are intentional about, and we're going to be doing a lot of PD around, yes, we are doing intervention, but let's expose students to the grade level content. Also, utilize informative data to identify misconceptions. On Monday, we went through a data protocol, and I had them to just take one standard that they taught last week. They had to bring in samples of student work, analyze the student work, they put in the stacks, who got it, who almost got it, who didn't get it. Let's look at almost got it. What one concept, not teaching the whole standard all over, what one piece of information are the students confused about? And let's plan to reteach just that one thing. A lot of times teachers take time to go and teach everything all over again, but we're actually working collaboratively to have strategies in place to actually teach to the gap, so you don't have to go back and teach all of the kids everything all over again. Also, to increase average daily attendance, as well as our CCRPI attendance rate. And then we want to decrease the number of tier 2 and tier 3 students in MTSS. I smile with that piece because for the first time in, I know, probably 8 years, we received a great audit score on our MTSS, report, district report. And we have found that we had students who were middle school, 6th grade, we have 5 feeder schools. So all the students, everything kind of rolls over. So once they get to middle school, if they were in the tiered support system, SST, then they would stay there and they would just keep rolling over. So what we have done is everyone who rolled over, we have been evaluating them, doing progress monitoring, and we have found several students who are either going back a tier or exiting the process. Also, we're finding students who have been stuck in the SST process, who now we're evaluating and to see if they need support with tier 4, such as special education as well. And then also continue to work on decreasing our discipline incidents as well as suspension rates. All right, and these are our goals again, which I stated before. They're the same as the ones that were on the strategic plan, and you will notice here that it actually reflects 2023. So what we did was took last year's proficiency levels, and we wanted to be realistic. I will tell you, as long as things keep going like they are, we will definitely surpass that 3%. And then last but not least, these are the current progress monitoring measures. This is how we are watching to see if we're and measuring to see what we need to tweak to ensure that we meet our goals. Our MAP ELA data reports, our HMH which is Read 180, as well as System 44 for literacy. Data reports, Amplify assessment data, as well as it amplifies the ELA curriculum, and then the weekly data meetings that we have just started this week. Numeracy is basically the same. That should say map math data, and I correct that, as well as HMH, let's just say math 180 data. So I changed that on the slide. And then also we do amplify math for middle schools. So we do have data for that, as well as our weekly data meetings. For Whole Child, our Infinite Campus attendance reports, as well as APS Graphs, which is basically a platform that we use to monitor attendance as well as behavior and academics. And then our attendance team meeting minutes, as well as our care team. We have a care team where basically it's like a triage. We sit there as a collective team. We have counselors on the team. We have our clinical therapists. You have assistant principals, and we really just dig into the whole child, not just academics. If they're having a rise in behavior, we actually talk about different supports, and then we try to triage, and then we revisit and meet on the student every 2 weeks to see if those strategies are working. And the MAP data, first administration. So this is fall to fall, and I want to walk you through this. So this was last year, coming out of the pandemic. They took this test the third week of, no, we were late starting last year. It was the last part of August going into the first part of September. So here, our 6th grade students, this is for reading. When we came in, the 6th grade students, about 52% of the 6th grade students were beginning learners. The green is proficiency. This looks like about 20% here. And you will see the same group of 6th graders, when they came this year, they did go down. Here, they went down by a percentage point this year. And this is the area when we talk about working with rigor and teaching to the standard, that we have to make sure that we hone in. But just remember, this is the beginning of the year. This is before we have really gotten into instruction. Then for 7th grade, they came in from the pandemic last year, 59% beginning readers, developing 27%, 14%. This same group of students, they're now 8th graders. And look how they came in this year. They went from 59 beginning down to 46, 35. So a lot of the students who were here in this part of 59, they have now moved to developing. And then here they were at 14. So some of these developing students have now moved to proficient and distinguished. So the students are moving. It's a slow movement. So now we're waiting to close out this week so we can see our winter data as well, which is after 2-3 months of instruction. And I know I did not do that. Yep, I copied and pasted the same thing twice. I was telling y'all math, and what I do is while we're talking about the other things, I can quickly switch over and just pull it live, and I'll make the correction on the slide. Our math is actually trending almost the exact same way. So we have seen a decrease in beginner learners. However, that proficient, meaning grade level, showing that you're proficient on the grade level content, we have some slow traction there. So we have to shift and put some strategies in place for to move the green faster. So questions for us to discuss. I know that was a lot. I feel like I was talking at you all. What do you notice? What are your wonderings? What additional questions do you have? Let me see if I can pull this.
Question.
Yes, Mr. Hobson.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, so one thing I want to address is the disciplinary. I know other schools do PBIS, and I want to know what is our take on like implement a school-wide disciplinary system in place.
So prior to the pandemic, probably actually the year before, we actually went through training for PBIS. Staff members here did, and we actually started the expectations. I think Hall was here then and may have even gone to the training. We actually had all of the criteria, all of that is still here. archive. We did not implement it coming out of the pandemic last year. And truthfully, just because there's so many, and right now we have 9 initiatives. I have met with the leadership team and we have talked about pulling those things out and putting them back in place starting in January. Also, the board, we just received the final new student discipline handbook. It was modified. We did not want to kick PBIS off and start our initiatives again until that handbook was actually modified without, like, literally everything that we used to use. So we did have a system before, and even they had a Tiger Den, a little store that they had little coins that they were rewarded for. It's just a matter of getting that back up and running. I will tell you that is a heavy lift, and it's going to take the whole staff. And right now we have 9 things going on. So it will have to be truly led by us and led by some students, but it is possible for us to do it. But I will tell you, because Hobson, a lot of the staff who actually went with us for the state training, a lot of them are no longer here. We would have to go back and sign up with the state to get certified again to do it. But it's possible. Do I hear you volunteering?
Sure.
But just know a lot of people hear PBIS, but it is a lot of work. There's another, outside of Infinite Campus, there's another discipline management system that you have to input tracking data in for the state. It sounds like, and I enjoyed going through the PBIS training, great strategies, but it's a lot of on the ground work and data management that honestly we would need the summer to really plan for it.
Yeah, I was over the PBIS system in my old school, and you actually literally have to have another team to manage it because it's a lot and to keep up with. And then 2, you have to monitor what's going into the system. So yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. It's really a lot. But if you have a good system that has good infrastructure, then that helps.
So am I hearing, Mr. Hobson, that's something we would like to plan for? Because if so, I need to get us, get our names out there to be trained during the summertime. I could do that, but just know it will be some summer, closing out the year, some summer training, but to get it fully implemented, and it works. I will tell you it works, but it's a lot of training. It's a lot of work.
And, so is funding attached to it as well, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'm sure funding's attached. I'm sure people won't have a problem with it.
Well, let me say this. No, it's funding in terms of funding attached to, oh, you mean for y'all to get paid?
No,
No,
it's doing work time, Dr. Renaissance.
No, Dr. Renaissance, no. Like probably for the actual, because it's during the regular school day. So
Okay.
like the actual, but during the summertime, yes, but the actual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least for the training is what about the training part?
So the state does not pay for it. We have to have a line item and money in our current budget to pay for it, but it's possible.
Okay.
But I will say this, I'm totally like, even right now with possibly some carryover funds, it will be something that as a team, if we decide we want to do it, there is funding to do it. We would just have to have some strong commitments of those who go. These are the actions we will see when they come back to the school.
Okay.
It was a good training. I think Hall was with us it's a really good training.
I didn't go to the actual training, but once it was brought back to the school, we started to implement it a little bit. And it really does work. If it's done with fidelity. So it works.
Ms. Hill, can I suggest something?
Absolutely.
As we're talking about PBIS, and you talked about Swiss, which is the other database. The team that you referred to is necessary. Coming from a school that implemented that, because a lot of the data, as Mr. Murphy said, has to be cleaned up. You have to watch what's going into the, Infinite Campus, and then you have to clean it up for Swiss, and then you have to go back and monitor it, and you have to make sure that things are accurate and they're aligned. I think you said something that's very important. When you organize that team, they have to be committed. Yeah. They have to be really, really committed. It is a very powerful tool and intervention. And to the most part, eventually it will spread throughout the school, and it won't be necessarily PBIS. It'll just be the way, the Crawford Long way. It'll just be the way that you all do things. But at the end of the day, the commitment is key. Mm-hmm. And you can't bail out once you start. You can't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because if the teachers bail out, they're not on board and invested. The students will see that, and it'll crumble. It really will. So you really have to have, like you said, a committed team, a committed school at doing it. That everyone has to be all in, mm-hmm. And then them not just saying, "Well, the administrators need to do the work." They have to be all in.
Thank you. Any other questions? You on mute, Hall. Were you saying something?
Oh, no, I guess my statement was I really did see the growth from 7th grade to 8th grade, to see that massive growth, and then to realize that a lot of those kids came to the summer program. Mm-hmm. So they were able to grow because you bridged that gap during the summer, and they didn't have all that time to truly sit at home. So us pushing that summer program at the end of last year really helped our students. So I feel like if we could come up with like a way to kind of go a little bit harder this year, and maybe push it just a little bit more, and maybe have some more symptoms, but not too many, for them to come, because I know that those Fridays activities really push them to come, and having that long block of connection period in there, when we wove after school all-stars in there, I think that really worked this year, because this was like my 3rd time doing summer school, and this year they were focused. It was like a regular school day, and I feel like that helped us and them, because coming out of the pandemic, they were able to somewhat get used to that regular school day before we actually came back, and they were in school that full term without those Wednesdays in there.
That's great feedback, Hall. Thank you for that. I hadn't, and I'm because that structure was different this year.
It was because they didn't have enough people for after school all-stars to work, so they added it in as a connection block instead of doing it. We worked for that strenuous time from 9 to 12 or 9 to 1, and then they did after school all-stars those last couple hours.
Thank you. So this is the math. I will take a picture of this and actually put it in the presentation and email it back to you all. This was math. And I will tell you, last year, 7th grade, we went a long time without a teacher. Even when we found a teacher, it was hard to find a certified teacher in the middle of the year. And the teacher who we had left due to a promotion. So math is our struggle. It is again our struggle this year. We also have a 2nd year, still new though, math curriculum that all of us, including me, are trying to internalize and learn. It is discovery based. So we're trying to balance discovery based and building content knowledge of students who are 3-4 grade levels behind coming out of the pandemic. Even Mr. Murphy is smiling, because even week before last, I took out me, Mr. Murphy, and one of my assistant principals. We had to go to a training, and we actually took a lesson from it was a 8th grade lesson. And we were we took it just straight as if we were teachers and students. And I was trying to actually, because we were initially told that it was aligned to the state standards, but when I got it, I sat down with the state standards, and I'm a former math teacher, and I was like, wait, this problem is not aligned to what the standard is asking. I took it, I worked it, and I was like, help me. So it's aligned to the Common Core, but it's not aligned to the state standards. And even the question that this developer had on this test I worked it and it is not aligned to the state standard. So I turned all of that over as my evidence to the school, the academics department to say, wait. And I even looked at, like today, I could see how all of the math scores for all middle schools using this curriculum. And there is a need for us to reevaluate the curriculum or to support teachers with the implementation of it. Because coming out of the pandemic and using a new curriculum without consistent support is a lot. So this is the math. It's a lot of red, but I will tell you, we are seeing movement. The 6th graders last year, who are now 7th graders, it did drop, decrease by 3. But and you notice we're not seeing the type of gains we were seeing for ELA in reading. And then here we did increase our proficiency, but it's only 6%. This is fall. Then here, 7th grade students, those are the students who did not have a teacher part of the year. It was 62 beginning, and then now it dropped to 56. So once again, Hall, like you were saying, and a lot of these students, they did come to the summer academy. So we're closing the gap in terms of them being grade levels behind. But look on this end, you all. They're proficient. And then it's almost like identical. So making sure we're closing the gap while also stretching the students who are sitting in this yellow piece. So I just wanted to show you all what the math looked like as well. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. Any other wonders? What did that PowerPoint say? Wonderings, additional questions. I have additional questions. So we do have some funds, or we'll possibly have some funds. Before the pandemic, we used to do a Saturday Tiger Den leading up to testing. Why are you laughing, Hall? I'll pay that year. I think I paid for transportation, and the students would come here, and we would do. It was really like test prep then, and it hit me that I was like, wow, what if we could just start earlier? And now that we have like map data, we know focus domains, we could kind of like identify and do an individual learning plan for the students and identify using data my top teachers for those different domains, give them a stipend or some funding to come in and work, and also provide transportation and food if possible.
That I feel like that's a great idea. We can kick it off in January.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting until like March, and actually do it that way. I feel like that would be great. Not every Saturday, but maybe like every other Saturday. Just to give them a Saturday at peace. But that really did help, because I want to say our test scores were good that year too.
Yeah,
they were really good. That last group of kids, they doing good. They doing good.
Yeah. And I also gave them the incentive, and I had to live up to it. We took them to Disney World. Yeah. It was, do you believe in magic? I might have to pull it out again. Do you believe in magic?
I believe in it.
Yeah, I may have to do that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question. Do you all have data talks during advisory?
So last year we just did what was the thing called? They had their student data profile sheet. I was trying to see if I had one of my days.
Oh, the
bookmark.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was not one-on-one. That's where I was talking about. So they had it. It was whole
during homeroom. And
that's the part that we need to go to when I was saying that it needs to be more focused, like strategic data talks. Yeah. It's just like, how could we do, like, just figuring out the logistics of it for 718 students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things we're dealing with the personalized learning, creating that online data profile that the students can keep up with their data and track it as they move towards the milestone, to make sure that they're actually completing their goals based on the targets they set for themselves. Yeah. So they can track their progress. So that's something we're working on now. We're going to roll out in December and then have a kickoff in January. But put it before the leadership board just so they can tweak any items on it before we give it to the faculty.
If you look at second step, there's a good lesson in there on goal setting. I want to say it's 1 or 2. I can't remember where in second step it is in there, but it breaks it down for them. So if you guys want to look at that, and the teachers can implement it in the morning during the SEL time. So they'll be able to personally go through their data that they have at Infinite Campus and say what they want to say, and they're able to look at their MAP score. So you can do it that way too.
And what I was going to do is next, we have to work 2 days. I have to work 2 days next week, but the gentleman in strategy, he's going to rerun our student data profile. So every student has their own student data profile sheet. And so it's going to have the fall and the winter data on there so they can actually see if they grew or not. So that's the part that we are trying to work through, because even today I had a student in here before the meeting because I was fussing, and he knew his risk score, he knew his data, but he didn't know what it meant. So I had the quadrant data and I was showing him like what it means to have high growth, low achievement, or high growth, high achievement, low growth, because he's gotten complacent. And he's not growing because he thinks, oh, I'm gifted. But he's a student that can move us to distinguish. He's just been hovering there. So I brought him in here, showed him on my computer. And I think that's the type of data talks that we need to be having. It takes a lot of time, but it's impactful when it's done that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how much time y'all have. It does take time, but those accountable conversations will move. It will move kids, even kids that aren't achieving. It's sometimes you find it's not that they don't want to. They really don't know where they are. They haven't had that conversation to say, okay, this is where I am. And for them to see it and say, okay, I don't want to be there. All right, so what do we have to do now? You know, what can you do that's reasonable? And because most students will say, oh, I'm gonna study every day. No, you're not. That's not realistic. But you can set some realistic goals and you can move. And I think that those are the types of accountable conversations that can be had. It just, like you said, it takes time. It does take time.
Do you have any protocols you can share with us?
I'll go in my bag. I got a few.
Thank you. Is that you, Mr. Hobson? Mr.
Yes. Yes. So I was talking to Ms. Bell McKenzie, and I meant to ask her. She said that based off the MAP scores, you can input the data into IXL.
Yes, you can.
And then it'll personalize their curriculum when they do the IXL.
She showed me the feature. We were running down the hall. She was screaming. I ran in the classroom and I sat down and she showed me how to do it. So off of this winter map, you can actually, for each domain, so if it's for math, you put it in IXL and it actually creates an individual learning plan in IXL for the students to do. And I have purchased IXL for every content area. So that is something that's truly personalized learning. So when we come back, we're going to do a working session. So we're going to probably have to tag team because it's a lot of manual entry. I was going to see if Will Melton, our data strategist, if it's a way for him to work with IXL to just manually upload it out of NWEA maps. Otherwise, we can just do a working session. I buy y'all some lunch or something. We just have a working session and put in all the students' information. We could tag team on a team with it. All right. So no additional, let me do this last PowerPoint slides and it's only 2 more, I promise. Share and here. All right. And I will fix that slide there. And strategic planning will help you fully uncover your available options, set priorities for them, and define methods to achieve them. Robert McCain. So where are we going? At our next meeting, we will discuss how our data is aligning to our strategic plan and determine if we need to make any adjustments. Before the end of the fall semester, we will take action, i.e. vote, on ranking our strategic priorities for the 23-24 school year. Let me or the chair know of any additional information you need for our future discussion. So I think that's it. Stop sharing. So for our next meeting, we always have to plan 1 year out, because when we start that budget, and budget season is in January. Go team, that's when we will probably make up that missed meeting that we had last month. And I'm hearing that they are shifting the timeline up. So I know January, I should find out tomorrow in principal's meeting. So we'll start working on that budget, but we can't talk budget until we talk strategic plan and strategic priorities, because based off of your priorities, that's where you place your funding. All right, Murphy, I'm done. I'm gonna throw it back to you. You're on mute.
Now, Lisa, this is Chandra from the Go Team office. When is y'all's next Go Team meeting scheduled for?
It is, what's on that thing? It is for, because we tried to make it around, hold on, let me pull it up. It is.
Yeah, that's under announcements.
It's under the meeting minutes. It was under, the next one is the 14th of December.
Okay, all right. So y'all should be on track to get through your strategic plan
Okay.
stuff before you start your budget.
Yeah,
So you should be good.
because our January meeting is January the 25th. Is that okay?
That's good. As I understand it, the principal budget training will be January 19th. So y'all have some,
Okay.
You'll be good.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Murphy.
Okay, thank you very much, Principal Hill. Principal Hill, you covered the discussion items and principal's report based on your information. At this time, we have no public comments because this meeting is viewed by the public but not open for public commentary at this time. I'm therefore moving on to the announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Okay, the only announcement that I do have is that our next meeting will be on 12/14 at 5:30 p.m. And it'll be available via Zoom and the YouTube stream virtually. Next, we have reached the end of our agenda. Let me just check these items real quick. We've reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? No one has anything else to add?
I just had a comment to make. And I said it doesn't have to be like nothing, just something to think about. Someone did come to me and suggested if we can make implementation to change the name of the school. And I know I asked about it in one of other cluster meetings, and they were saying it has to go be done through the board. Just because I know people have done history on Crawford Long, who's an anesthesiologist. But I'll just have people I have you all just read the history on it. But a lot of people believe that there'd be a reason to change the name. So just throwing that idea out there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hobson.
No problem.
Maybe we can bring that up in the next meeting's agenda when we'll bring up in the next meeting's agenda. Are there any additional business at this time? Is there any additional business? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I second that motion.
All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, raise your hand or say nay. Any abstentions, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes, meeting is adjourned. The secretary will record the actual time of adjournment in minutes at 6:45 p.m.
All right.
Thank you very much.
team. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Wonderful Thanksgiving. If I don't see you, but I see you all Friday. I'm out for principal's meeting tomorrow. I have a lot of information to bring back to you also. All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Have a
Good
good
night.
evening.
Thank you, everyone.